got this, I'm winning. I'm not a quitter, so I'm not fucking quitting. Just try to stop me and you'll drop dead missing. I'm on my way to the top now, listen. I ain't never gonna stop driven. I ain't never getting lost, got vision. I'ma make this shit hot, ignition. Yeah, don't give me facts, not fiction. Then you know I'm fucking listen, cause I'm on a fucking mission. Man, you got to be driven, cause this world is unforgiving. You're the only one that's winning, or the only one that's quitting. So get up and stay committed, don't be asking for permission. Hit the gas after ignition and start acting like you're winning. Make your own damn decisions, don't let others make you victims. Have a thought and have a vision, don't get caught up in the millions. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light the shit up.
Just finished up the 2023 Iowa race season. I finished third overall in the 4x4 class. Beginning of the season, there was probably like 14 guys that started racing in the 4x4 class at the beginning of the year, and then throughout the year some guys dropped out, got hurt. By the end there was about 8 of us, and I ended up finishing third overall, which I'm pretty happy with. I did have some issues this year keeping the quad together. Round 2 I lost, my through shaft broke, lost 4-wheel drive, and then in round 5 or 6 I believe I started having some engine problems where it would go into limp mode, and then I believe in round 9 I broke the front axle, so I lost 4-wheel drive again. So I dealt with a lot of issues this year, and it took me 4 or 5 races to actually figure out what was wrong with the limp home mode on this quad, which I'll go through later on. But I got some issues I got to work out with this. I have to pull, the big one is I have to pull the motor back out because the oil nozzle, when I rebuilt it after round 2, when I did the through shaft, the oil nozzle actually broke off, and it squirts oil on the rear cylinder to keep it cool. So that broke off. I said to hell with it, I'm gonna run it to the rest of the year. If it blows up, it blows up. And it actually ran pretty good. So but I'll go through that with you guys later. Another issue I have is I'm gonna pull the rear diff out of this because it's got a lot of backlash to it. So I'm gonna pull the rear diff apart, go through that, adjust the backlash, make sure everything's good in that, and then install that back again. And then another issue I have is the frame actually cracked. And I noticed this about halfway through the race season. I just finished racing with it the rest of the year, and it held up, but I'm going to go and show you guys that so you guys can check your frame, that if you do race, you can. It's another spot to check out. So I got to get the plastics off this. I'm going to pull the rear diff out, and then the big thing is I got to pull that motor out again. I might replace the rings in it. I have to do a leak down test on it because the front cylinder, I did a compression test. The rear cylinder was like 150 psi and the front cylinder was like 122. So I got to figure out where I'm losing compression there. I believe it's through, I don't think the valves are seating right. So got to do a leak down test on that once I get the motor out. But stick around. We'll get into it. We'll prepare for 2024. if you guys can see this, but I got a little play in this rear trailing arm here. The bearings up here. The bearings up here are going bad. I think this trailing arm is bent, actually. I ran it. It was bent when I bought the quad, but he also gave me a used trailing arm, rear trailing arm, so I'm going to put this on, and hopefully that'll fix my problem. This bearing keeps wearing on this side, but I think that, like I said, the trailing arm is bent a little bit, and it's putting more pressure on those bearings. So I'm going to take this trailing arm off, press new bearings in the other one, and put that one in. So I got these bearings out of the rear trailing arm here. The outside bearings, there's a couple flat spots, and you can turn here and you can feel the flat spots. But the inside bearings are all right. I'm not going to replace them, but I'm going to show you guys how to repack them. And that way you don't have to buy new ones. It'll save you a little bit of money. This one here, you can spin it, and you can feel a little flat spot in the bearing. This was one of the inner bearings on the rear trailing arm, and it's pretty smooth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repack this one. First, you got to take this little seal off here. These are sealed bearings, but you can take these seals off and repack them. I just got this little screwdriver here. You just want to peel this seal up. Make sure you don't rip it. This seal will come off here. And then you got your bearings in there. I'm going to pull this side off. Get some of this dirt out of here. So that seal comes right off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take brake cleaner. I'm going to clean this all up, use some Q-tips, and clean that all up, and I'm going to repack it with grease. I'm going to clean the edge of the seal up real good so it goes in the race, sits in the race good and seals up that grease in there. I'm just going to take this grease and pack it down on these bearings. And you want to pack it from one side, say from this side, just keep packing it from one side until you see it start pushing through on the other side, and then go and put grease on this side. This will make your bearings last a little longer. Even if you buy brand new bearings, you can pull that seal off and just add a little more grease in there, which you guys know I do with the wheel bearings all the time. I have that little grease tool, so you can see it's starting to push through on this side. So once you got this all full of grease here, just go ahead and take your seals and press those in. Like that. Make sure they're in there good. Flip it over here. Put the other one in. Squeeze out that excess grease in there. Feels a lot better than when I took them out. I did want to mention that these bearings, I only have I've replaced them last year in the quad. They only had 15 races on them, I think. Maybe 20. I don't remember if I replaced them in the beginning of the race season last year or halfway through. I think it was halfway through. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of time on them, but they still got pretty worn. Well, the outer ones did anyways, so definitely something to keep an eye on your quad. But if they're good, just repack them. Save you a little bit of money. It takes a little time, but it'll save you a little bit of money. And it'll last a little longer, hopefully. I went ahead and reused those bearings I repacked with grease, the old ones. I purchased new bearings for the outside Timken's bearings. I think I paid $11 for 2 of them, which there's 4 bearings in here, so you'd have to get a couple packs of these. But the number is 62032RS. But I got those online. I don't know if it's cheaper than the OEM ones, but they're a perfect fit. So I'm going to take these out. I'm going to repack. I'm going to pack more grease into these and then install this along with the seals and the spacers. Alright, so I got this trailing arm ball back together. We changed the bearings up here, new seals. I went ahead and greased this bearing here. I'm gonna reuse these garage product bushings there. Put the skid plate back on. Iron Baltic skid plate works awesome. One thing I wanted to show you guys, a couple tools you really should get if you're gonna plan on working on your own quad is a slide hammer. I have an OTC slide hammer here and OTC ball joint press. They're great for doing all the bearings, and then if you get in a bind, you can pull stuff out with the slide hammer there. So next thing you gotta do here, I'm gonna pull the rear diff out. I'm gonna try to keep these shop videos pretty to like 15 minutes. I don't really like going over that. But next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the rear diff out of this. I have to start pulling the motor out to work on that. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something.